I've been suffering. I suffered for 19 years. It's time for me to shake my ass on a yacht. Back in Dubai.
Recently, a woman posted a video about how she's in her 40s and she followed the conditioning and the idea of being the good girl. And somehow that backfired.
I was taught over the years, you be a good girl and you'll get everything you want in life. You be a good girl, you keep your legs closed. You don't be out here fighting in these streets. You talk like a lady. You eat like a lady. You do this like a lady. And what did it get me? Huh? What did it get me? Rage. And nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the good girl who grows up and she turns 40 and she looks around and she's like, what the f did I do wrong? I did everything that everybody asked me to do. I was a good girl. I went to school. I went to church. I wasn't sleeping around. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't smoking. I wasn't doing none of that shit. I was a good girl, and it got me nowhere. So guess what? The good girl is dead. She's dead. That's enough. I said to myself, that's enough. It's time to bring the other girl out, right? It's time to bring the other girl out. Because the good girl, and I love her to death, but she had to die. Because at the end of all of it, you become an adult, and you look around, and all you have is grief.
So Sips with Star has gotten a little bit of a refresh with what we're going to be discussing. So with Sips with Star, it is an acronym. It stands for Somatic Healing, Inner Work, Personal Growth, and Social Commentary. I feel that this will really allow me to do more and be more of who I really want to show up as for y'all on this channel. It is going to still allow me to share about my personal journey, but also do more social commentary and tie that into our journeys and things that we can learn from the things going on in the world. Somatic healing is really important for me to share with our community, especially because it's so important to incorporate on our healing journey. Me as a massage therapist and someone who has gone on a continuous healing journey, I've learned how important somatic healing is to incorporate into our lifestyle. So I'm definitely going to be talking to y'all about that. And the vlogs are going to be on my vlog channel. So if you are interested in the vlogs, definitely go ahead and check out A Starry Life. But if you are into the chatty podcast style sit down videos, I'm the girl for you. This channel is the place to be. So if you are not yet subscribed to the channel and any of this sounds like something that you're into, make sure that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join our community. My sip of the day is beet juice. I got beet juice today, y'all. I am on my healthy kick. I am back to doing my healthy habits and getting back into my routine. This is just a Trader Joe's version that I got here, and it's pretty good. Now, speaking of good, the topic of today's video is the good girl. How life has conditioned us to be the good girl and show up a certain way and abandon parts of ourselves in order to appease others. How many of us were told when we were younger that if you just be a good girl and you get the good grades and you do all the right things in the right order, that you would get certain things or you would be rewarded with certain things? And it caused us to abandon so much of ourselves in a way that may have disallowed us from experiencing life in the way that we may have wanted to, in a way that allowed us to express our true selves and be our most authentic selves, because we were taught to conform and perform a version of us that needed to be rewarded for being good. Maybe possibly being told that if you acted a certain way, or if you were a certain version of woman or person, that you would get a certain lifestyle, right? And as I sit here in my mid-30s, I reflect on how much I relate to this woman that went viral on TikTok, talking about how she's in her 40s and realized that being the good girl got her nowhere. Being the good girl didn't get her her dream life. And as someone who feels like my life is okay, I love my life, I love the things that I have, I really enjoy my life. But I oftentimes talk to my family and my siblings and I say that a lot of things in my life would have gone differently had I not been trying to perform perfection or perform goodness for the approval of my family and others. And it's such an interesting take, and it's an interesting experience too, to look back and see how many things you may have missed out on and how much regret we end up living with because we abandon parts of ourselves in order to be liked or to be seen or to be loved. When we're children, we don't always have a choice of being who we want to be. I think that now parents are different in their parenting styles, where they allow their children to express themselves and how they speak and the activities that they do. But that wasn't always everyone's experience. I will say that in mine, I am grateful that I did have a sort of experience where I was allowed to be more of myself than others may have been allowed to be. But there were other experiences in my life where I really believe that had I had the opportunity to choose something different, my life would look completely differently, even though I truly do love my life. And so today I really wanted to talk about that. I want to talk about how we oftentimes abandon ourselves for the approval of others, for the love of others, to be seen, to be liked, and we conform a version of ourselves that we may want to be, but we do not show up as, in order to fit in to a space that may not be where we're even supposed to be. I feel like this is a conversation that we don't always often have openly, about regrets and about resentment, about places and relationships and friendships and jobs that we stayed in way too long, way past their expiration date, because of optics, because we wanted to be seen as easygoing or likable or easy to get along with, passing off way too many, no, it's okay, it's all right, I got it, suppressing a lot of our own desires and sacrificing so much of our own needs and wants for those around us. There are a lot of women, I know for sure, that get to certain stages of their lives and they look back and they regret certain things. And they're like, man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have chosen myself at that point in time. I wish I would have had the opportunity to experience these things. Sometimes life doesn't allow for that to happen, or sometimes we'll get the choice to, and the choice to choose ourselves seems more scary because we don't always know what's on the other side of choosing ourselves, because we're afraid of what we may lose, who we may lose, how life will look differently. Doing the right thing and being the good girl or the good woman is the easier way out. Now, why this is so important, especially to me, is because the work that I do as a massage therapist, and just in general with the knowledge that I have as far as working with like psychology and working with different women and different backgrounds and the stories that I hear, is that so much of the emotions, resentment, anger, grief, it gets buried down deep inside of us. And you've probably heard me talk about this on this channel before, but it's something that I really had to work through. Really having to let go of the grief of a life that you expected, letting go of the grief of the life that you thought you would have by a certain time. Because while yes, we place timelines on ourselves, we're oftentimes racing a societal clock too. A clock that actually means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things.
How come nobody ever talks about the grief that comes along with the good girl syndrome? Like, when you grow up and you're taught that, like, if you do everything right, like, if you love people right and you don't be out here in these streets and you don't do this and you don't do that, like, you're gonna get exactly what it is that, like, you want in life, and, like, somebody's gonna value you, somebody's gonna do this, and, like, that might be true in some instances, but, like, when you get to a certain point in your life, you start to grieve the fact that I've done everything right. I valued myself. I've done this right, I've done that right, I've loved people, I've held people's hearts, I've carried people's dreams, I've pushed people's dreams forward. And you're like, okay, like, when is it my turn? Like, grieving that, feeling like, when is your turn? It is like one of the hardest things to, like, grieve, because you don't understand it. It's like somebody tried to give you the answer to a math problem, but still you can't figure out the equation to get that answer. Like, it's truly disheartening and it, like, breaks your heart, but, like, nobody ever talks about that. I don't know. I'm just trying to, like, heal and recover from, like, old mindsets and, like, even the pressure of being like, dang, like, I've been good my whole life. Like, when is somebody gonna see that? I don't know. Just food for thought.
Now, I will say for myself that to a certain degree, I was a good girl. Like, I went to school because they told me to go to school. Now, there were other ways that I wasn't so much of a good girl. I have a loud mouth and I talk back. I'm very opinionated and I voice my opinions to anyone and everyone, but I'm also an eldest daughter. So I was kind of conditioned in that way to speak up for myself and to speak up for others. Probably could have been, should have been a lawyer, right? But the majority of us are not even taught that we have that option. And to be honest, my family didn't like that about me. They didn't like that my mouth was and is the way that it is, because many of us are taught that we should be seen and not heard, and that it's not ladylike to have certain behaviors. And those certain behaviors are what keep us small and keep us timid and keep us a lot of times from being exactly who we are supposed to be. Now I don't know what it was about turning 35 last year, but, like, I felt a shift in myself as far as, like, just standing up for me. Growing up, I dealt with a lot of bullies. And one thing we don't really talk about is adult bullies. Like, those people from middle school, high school, they just grew up in age, but they're still who they are, you know? And you have to learn how to navigate that in this world, because you would think that people were mature, but not everybody is. You know, if you are a person who's mature, not everybody else is the same way. And there are definitely adult bullies, and it's sad to see, but you have to be able to stand your ground in those type of environments. And oftentimes, being that good girl doesn't get you heard, it doesn't get you seen, but it gets you walked over and ignored. I have a separate point that I want to make about being humble, because Something about the energy of this year and the transition that I've made personally, it just feels very different. Like, it just feels like we're being called to something bigger. We're just being called to do more and to show up differently and to just do a lot. I will talk about it in a different video, but for today, I want to say that if you have something that is on your heart to do that thing. Don't let the opinions of others, the perceived judgment that may come from others, get in the way of you being your bold, audacious self. What other people perceive as good may not be who you're called to be. You may be called to be a risk taker in some ways. You may be being called to be a trailblazer in your family, in your community, or maybe just in your own life. Nobody can dictate what the right thing is for you. You have to determine that. You have to create your own identity, your own values and morals, and determine what a good life is for you. And another sad reality is that a lot of people aren't good people. They just aren't. There are a lot of nasty people out here. Just nasty and mean-spirited, but we don't have to be like that. Another point that I want to make with this is that when you abandon yourself and when you put on this persona of being the good girl and you suppress a lot of your own desires, a lot of your own dreams, your own creativity, your own ideas for your life, and then you end up being someone who battles with a reproductive issue. There are many discussions and studies that show that when we suppress our emotions, that gets buried in our wombs and in our bodies. And through the work that I'm doing as a massage therapist, as a healer, and in the wellness space through somatic healing, I'm learning how the emotions that we suppress affect our bodies negatively and how to process them through our bodies, through therapy, through movement, through our lifestyle. And it's something worth considering and thinking about, and it's not a mainstream topic that we talk about enough.
Grief shows up physically because the nervous system reads loss as a threat. Tight chest, shallow breathing, nausea, brain fog, fatigue. People often say, "I don't know why my body feels like this." The body remembers what the mind is still trying to make sense of. That's why rest, breath, and grounding matter just as much as insight.
Posting this video because I had no idea this was going to be such an area of conflict in my comment section. And I'm not posting this to cause any more conflict or to single out a single creator. I just want to clarify some things. For context, I posted a video about an incident that happened when I was Pilates. I was doing random stretches and did this like figure 4 exercise which stretches out your hips and your hamstrings, and I can't even tell you what happened, but I just started weeping like floodgates had opened. Another bit of context is my dad passed in April, and truthfully, I haven't been processing super well because I just repress and stuff things down because I'm having difficulty finding time to grieve the way that I need to. So I ended the crying video with explaining that there was trauma in there. And I said that because my body is in knots. I'm in this static state of full body tension. And I will tell you that I think this recent loss and trauma has caused this tension. I think my body is perpetually anxious because I can't process this loss and I just get locked up. And this is what I'm referring to when I'm saying that the body expresses and holds on to these somatic stressors. I am in this bodily situation because of that trauma. And as I do certain exercises, it releases some of that tension, which gives me this little brief opportunity to address some of it. That's not pseudoscience. This is a very basic physiologic understanding of somatic effects of anxiety.
And so many women who are battling grief and they're dealing with stress of life and dealing with repressed resentment and frustration from relationships and job. They'll develop these issues in their bodies, and they'll change their diet and they'll change their lifestyles and still can't figure out like what is going on with me. A lot of times it's that emotional stuff that we bury deep inside of us because we were told to be the good girl. Sometimes the good girl had a little bit of pizzazz that she couldn't share with the world. And so she buried her truths deep inside of her and never got to share them with the world. And so one question that I want to leave you with, that I want you to explore after you watch this video, is to ask yourself, who would I be or who would I have been had I not been told who to be or how to be? And write that down somewhere and really explore that question with yourself, because it may just unlock a truth to the life that you truly desire for yourself. Another question that I want to leave you with, journal prompt. You can make these journal prompts, is what part of myself have I abandoned throughout the course of my life? I'll say for me, one of the areas that I wish that I would have given more love and attention to, but maybe kind of abandoned due to trying to survive in just life, was my creativity as far as drawing and writing. I have always been an avid writer, and I stopped writing after life got a little bit too complicated. But I have gotten back into it over the last few years. So I've been sharing my personal essays over on Substack, and it has been such a relief for me to just be able to show up and just write the way that I used to. It feels like a warm hug to my inner child. I'm writing my personal reflections of the lessons that I've been learning as a woman on a healing journey, and just learning how to return back to myself. My newsletter on Substack is called The Rested Return, and I really want everybody to go and check that out, because it really feels like I'm finding myself again through being able to write my authentic thoughts and feelings. It's just such a real and raw experience for me, and I'm so excited to be back doing it. When I first started it, I was kind of blogging and didn't really know what I was doing with the platform, but over the last couple of months, I've really found my voice there, and I'm really excited to see what this year brings for me there. And so I'm excited to meet more people there on that platform, and for you all to meet me through my words. I'm really excited about that. So I want you to explore, what is that thing for you that you put down and that you want to return to, that makes you feel more like you, that brings you joy, and that stimulates that fulfillment in you. Because so many of us have to show up as the good girl or the boss babe at work or at home and in our families. If you had one act of rebellion, what would it be? Now that's a good one. And of course, these are just things for you to reflect on. Y'all know I am a journal girly. And as I navigate my own journey out of coming out of the good girl light and really learning to show up without performing and just being who I am, without being afraid of saying the wrong thing or being the wrong version of myself that won't be accepted or liked or loved. I invite you to come on that journey with me too, because it is a journey for sure, especially in different cultures too. I know that this is different, but when you are told and taught that you have to be this way in order to be rewarded with love, that little person in you continues to act in that way. And so now here we are in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, learning to self-soothe and reparent ourselves by realizing that the version of us that was conditioned to be that way may not be what is actually serving our highest self. So I hope that this year and moving forward that you choose to be your most bold, badass, audacious self, and that you choose and decide to show up as exactly who you are and who you've always wanted to be. Whether that truly is being a good girl, but understanding that no one way of life is going to guarantee you the things. So you might as well be all that you can be. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for being here. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like this video if you enjoyed this conversation. 90% of my viewers are not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you want to become a part of the Loved Ones community, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and be sure to turn on your post notification bell so that you never miss a video. And if you enjoyed this video, then I'll see you next week. Same time,